Let's talk about gear, but not just any gear. I want to talk to you guys about gear that I purchased or used in 2021 that actually made a difference in the quality of my videos and or the process. I'm not gonna try and convince you guys like these are things that every filmmaker needs to go out and buy. No BS, just plain and simple filmmaking gear that I found myself using pretty much this entire year. Let's talk about the first thing, and I think it's no surprise that my favorite camera, it's the Sony a7S III. Technically, it was the end of 2020, but man, has this thing absolutely surpassed so many of my expectations in pretty much all aspects. When I picked it up, I was pretty confident that my use was gonna be pretty exclusive to YouTube videos. It was gonna be the perfect camera for that. As I got to use it more, I was genuinely impressed with how robust of a 4K image this thing can create. Seriously impressive dynamic range, a really rock solid autofocus system, a ton of different frame rates and codecs to choose from, which was what I felt a lot of the older A7 cameras lacked. And a blessing now, the color science is really up to par with, I think, most of the kind of high-end video camera industry. Like if you were to throw this side by side up against a large majority of the current top cameras, I think you'd be hard pressed to be able to spot a difference. Even though I've now purchased a couple of different cinema cameras for my commercial and client work, there's been a lot of cases that I've been really shocked that I've gravitated toward the Sony for various reasons, you know, smaller autofocus. I think this probably deserves a follow-up video, maybe breaking down the rig that I've been using most of this year. So if that's something you guys want to see, leave a comment. This next thing that I want to tell you guys about, honestly something I wish I found a little bit sooner. Some of my friends here on YouTube have talked and done some videos about it. This Monitor Plus app that allows you to monitor but also remote control your Sony a7 cameras. If you guys have ever used the original Sony Image Edge mobile app, I think you'll probably know that it's awful. It doesn't give you a lot of functionality. The quality that you actually see that you can monitor is just not great. The latency is not amazing, but this, I think, as you guys may be able to hopefully see here, it's honestly impressive. Really, really solid. And you can control pretty much all of your camera settings. You can start and stop recording, tap autofocus, white balance, all of your exposure controls. Not to mention that you also have things like waveforms, zebras, focus peaking. You can actually use LUTs. This thing effectively turns a smartphone or a tablet into a professional monitor. It does cost a little bit of money. I think it's $19.99 in the App Store, but in my mind, incredibly worth it, especially if you're somebody like me who is pretty frequently shooting yourself. The third piece of gear that we have here is the 7-in-1 Freewell magnetic filter system. This has to be one of my favorite filter systems I've ever used. Run and gun shooting, it works flawlessly. The magnets, in my mind, could be a little bit stronger when you're popping these on and off. There was a couple of times when I was out shooting, there was a vlog I actually did with these where I would bump it with my hand or it would bump on me and the filter popped off and fell. Luckily, nothing bad ever happened. They didn't scratch. The coating on these filters is pretty solid. I think it's a really, really innovative system. The fact that you can swap out the base VND for a mist, basically like a diffusion filter, and make these variable NDs 2 to 5 stop, 6 to 9 stop, into mist VNDs. Color shift isn't perfectly neutral. It's slightly on the warm side, but in a lot of ways, I actually find that somewhat pleasing. These things are pretty invaluable. Our fourth piece of gear that we have are these Came TV mini V-mount batteries. V-mount batteries are admittedly something that I kind of neglected investing into for a long time. I mean, a lot of times I would go kind of like the Sony NPF route. As I've been beginning to do more work out on location, working with cameras that quite frankly require batteries like this, these have been my go-to. I now have a few of them. They work phenomenally. They're super small, built really well, 2 D-tap outputs, a USB Type A output, 99 watt hours, which is the perfect travel size. It's not too bulky, not too heavy. Overall, a really solid option, and not to mention the price is very competitive out there with the V-mount market, so these are a great option. Tripods are kind of one of those things that no one really wants to spend money on, but I can tell you from personal experience, it is honestly something you should invest a bit of money into. But everyone also typically needs a decent little travel tripod. Now, there's a few different brands out there that make great ones, but a lot of them are really expensive. This one from Amazon, it's a K&F concept, is incredibly well priced. It's made reasonably well, lightweight, slim, and yeah, not too big of a footprint. Pretty nicely fit in most camera backpacks. Water bottle pockets, which is kind of what I love. The one thing that I did do is put a different ball head on this guy. The one that comes on it is a little wimpy. I certainly wouldn't trust a cinema rig on there, but for anything mirrorless like my Sony's, absolutely no worries. I think I was able to pick up the tripod and then this ball head for a little over $100. Solid little tripod. Let's now go ahead and jump into tools and kind of some grip accessories. The first thing, this gear cart. Now this is truly one piece of gear that I'm frankly just annoyed that I didn't pick up sooner. This little cart has been amazing for things like hauling around gear, but also even smaller daily stuff like bringing in groceries or packages. It's kind of the perfect size of being able to handle most of the equipment that I would want to load up on it, but not being too bulky that I can't collapse it down and stow it away in a closet when I'm not using it. Seems like it's built well enough to last for a good amount of time. And again, the price is very reasonable. There's a lot of higher end ones out there with, thicker, smoother wheels or, a little bit more load capacity. This being as compact as it is, kind of just can't go wrong. This little multi-tool from Small Rig, don't think there's a lot to say about it, but man, is it handy. It's built incredibly well. It's all aluminum, really nice feel. You have Allen keys, a flathead for tripod screws, a Phillips driver. I mean, it kind of has everything you need for building camera rigs. You pick one of these up, you can get rid of all the old shitty Allen keys that are just rattling around in one of your backpack pockets, a quarter that you use to tighten tripod screws. It's just a really simple, clean little tool. If you haven't used a C-stand yet, let me tell you right now, you need one or two. That much I can say. But when you need to move lights and gear around on those stands pretty often, they kind of suck. These impact rolling light stands have pretty much changed the game with my studio setup and using big lights in general. They're super strong and yeah, they roll. A little bit on the pricey side, not much more expensive than a budget C-stand, but good grip equipment in my mind is worth investing to, considering that, buy it once and it'll last you your entire shooting career. Okay, this is something that I think I can conclusively say is simply not necessary for 95% of people out there. Nonetheless, it's something I purchased and I do think it made an improvement in my workflow, so we're gonna talk about it. This Blackmagic design micro panel, simply put, what this device does is gives us manual, physical, intuitive controls for adjustments within the DaVinci Resolve coloring software. We have these wheels and these balls which will control the color wheels. We have all these knobs up here, gamma, contrast, saturation, shadows, and a handful of different dedicated buttons over on the right side for playback control, skipping around, changing your nodes. It gives you a much more precise and controlled way to apply color adjustments to your image. I can promise you in saying that you can do everything this does with just a mouse and keyboard. This just makes it a little bit faster, a little more precise. I do think it has helped improved a little bit of my knowledge and kind of finesse within the images I am grading. Again, not necessary, but really fun. I've talked about this before. It's worth sharing again because this is another one of those products that I wish I had sooner. A laptop lap desk. Sounds a little weird when you say it like that. Place your laptop on. It gives you a spot to use a mouse. There's a couple little slots here that you can prop up your phone or an SSD or something like that. It comes in a handful of different colors and finishes. It's just a good product. And if you work from home like I do and I have been for like the last 2 years straight now, it's hard to go back to not using this thing when I'm sitting on the couch or laying in bed. Seriously, pick one of these things up. Not sponsored in any way, but just link down below. I promise you won't regret it. You know what is sponsored though? This video. Sponsored by Canva. Canva is an all-in-one design platform that allows you to create a ton of incredible content for yourself or your brand. I've utilized Canva now in my work for close to 2 years. I love using it for my social media posts, really easily creating templates for these cinematic Instagram posts. Once I've created the design, I can just go back into it, tap and replace, reposition it. Unbelievably easy, professionally designed user templates that allow you to make content that looks amazing and you don't have to have any design experience. There's an incredibly massive stock assets library. Canva is free to use, but things get really cool with their pro subscription, giving you access to a ton of amazing tools. One that I love is their Magic background remover. It's a one-click way to mask and cut out subjects from an image to put them on a background, perfect for things like thumbnails. It's just $12.95 a month for you and up to 5 team members. So seriously, if you guys are interested in trying this out, you can get a free 45-day pro subscription if you head down and click the link below. Thank you, Canva, for sponsoring today's video. This little guy looks a little funny, but you have all of these different electronics. You got your camera, you've got your monitor, you've got different types of batteries, you've got your phone, all these different cables. They're all different lengths, they're different colors. You lose one, and then you're on a hunt digging through your closet. Why not just stick it all into one? A retractable cable, 3 of the most popular charging cables in my mind: lightning connector, micro USB, USB-C. You can use multiple of them at once. Perfect little portable size, barely takes up any space in your bag. Comes in a 2-pack, so if you gotta charge multiple USB-C devices, use both of them. Another one of those things that I've just never even thought about looking for or having in my kit. You're on set, for example, somebody needs a charging cable. They're like, oh, has anybody got, and you're like, just throw in this. True story, actually. That's happened like 2 or 3 times for me now. Toss it over and they're just like, what the? Speaking of stretchy things, I can't honestly say I started using these things in 2021, but I did buy a huge pack at the start of this year. Amazing. Just, it's a stretchy little cable tie for bundling up your cables. So when you do have a bunch of stuff in your gear bag, it's not just loose little rat's nest in there. You can nicely organize them. I like these red ones because the red stands out. It makes it a little less hard to lose a cable or leave it sitting on a table somewhere, hotel room. You can get a 20-pack of them for like $7. Just go buy them. Go add them to your cart right now. You will use these. I feel like I've seen my fiance steal these from me, like for hair ties. Kind of a honorable mention, bonus, if you will. The thing that's helping me film this video right now, the YouTube studio stand that I built earlier this year. It's basically just this rolling stand that acts as a tripod. It acts as a boom arm for my microphone, a stand for my monitor, battery, audio record, like everything is on this stand. It has wheels. I've got a sandbag on it, so it's nice and stable. Definitely made my life easier with filming these videos. Super not necessary, but damn, it makes the workflow just a little bit less stressful. That's the gear that I purchased or used in 2021 that has actually helped me make better videos or made the workflow less stressful. Again, links are down below if you guys want to check any of it out. Happy holidays, and I'll see you guys next year.